Welcome to this course on advanced Python programming. In this course, we'll take a look at a lot of the advanced concepts within the Python language. And with hands-on tutorials and several projects, I'll demonstrate how to write advanced Python code. So here's Module 1, the introduction and the course agenda. 2 lessons in this module. First, we'll go over the course agenda, and then Lesson 2 is about Python refresher. And we'll take a look at some of the basic fundamentals just to refresh on some of the basic concepts of Python programming. Module 2 is where we'll get into data structures. 7 lessons in this module. Lesson 1 is about advanced lists. Lesson 2 is list comprehensions. Lesson 3 is working with Python sets and dictionaries. And Lesson 4 is looping techniques. So for instance, we'll take a look at how to effectively use the for and while loop within the Python code. Lesson 5 is about modules, and Lesson 6, packages. So here I'll demonstrate how to effectively work with the built-in modules and how to use Python packages and build them into your own code. In Lesson 7, we'll take a look at the concept of time functionality. So in essence, in this module, we'll strictly focus on the data structures and the concepts of lists, how to integrate them within your Python code, how to effectively use various looping techniques and search data or query data from your lists and dictionaries. In Module 3, we'll jump into the writing graphical user interface in Python. So 8 lessons in this module. Lesson 1 is the fundamentals of the GUI interface. Lesson 2 is how to create a graphical user interface in Python. And I'll demonstrate how to use the TK widget within the Python code where you're building up various menus or the actual look and feel of the software, in fact, that you're creating. And Lesson 3 is creating buttons and labels for your interface. So when the user clicks on a button, well, that's what we'll be designing in this module. Lesson 4 is canvas widgets. And Lesson 5 is about message widgets. And Lesson 6 is working with radio buttons. Lesson 7 will get into data entry widget. And Lesson 8 is about oval objects. So in Module 3, essentially, we'll primarily work with designing an effective graphical user interface so that when user uses our software, it's easier for the user to click and open up a menu, for example, or select certain options and so on. Module 4 is about Python and CGI scripts. So in Lesson 1, we'll take a look at what is CGI, how does it work, how can we integrate CGI scripts into the Python code, and how do we use them. Lesson 2 is the concept of get and post methods, and this relates to filling out a form, for instance, and what goes behind that form when a user fills out a form and clicks the submit button. Lesson 3 is file operations, how to open up your file from your existing computer, how to create a new file, how to integrate your files within your code. And then finally, Lesson 4 is accessing the internet using your Python code and CGI scripts. Module 5 is advanced graphics. 4 lessons in this module. Lesson 1 is working with your turtle star. Lesson 2 is drawing 1000 random boxes, for example. Lesson 3 is creating multimedia and inserting multimedia elements using Python code. And Lesson 4 is text input. So here in Module 5, primarily building and moving forward on our graphical user interface, we'll take a look at how to use advanced graphics so that when we're designing the front end of the application, for instance, using Python, and then of course coding that goes behind that front end, how does that relate? And we'll take a look at in Module 5 how to integrate those advanced graphics. Module 6 is networking. So a couple of lessons in this module. I'll demonstrate the concept of networking fundamentals. How do we connect, for example, from one network protocol to the other? How does Python work with various protocols such as TCP/IP, HTTP, and so on? And Lesson 2 is about Python debugger. And this is an important lesson, and I'll demonstrate how to, in fact, take a look at your code and understand how to fix your code. If there are problems with your code or certain mistakes that you made while writing your code, how do we use the Python debugger to use the code? Because most times your code is not going to be limited to just a few lines. You may have code that contains hundreds and thousands of lines, for instance. So using the Python debugger tool is an effective way to really decipher and understand your Python code. And in Module 7, we'll do various projects. So a couple of lessons, Project A and Project B. The objective here is to essentially recap everything so far within this course and work with certain projects from scratch. So we'll be building various programs using Python code, and I'll demonstrate by means of creating different projects. And finally, Module 8 is our conclusion. Here we will recap everything within this course and also ensure that our learning objectives have been met. So the entire course is designed based on hands-on tutorials. So I'm going to demonstrate working with a lot of code, and without further ado, let's move to our next lesson.